We are very delighted to be here following your visit to Kenya in January. We note that all these wonderful developments you've mentioned have taken place over the last few years, which means that with the proper commitment and dedication, it is possible to achieve a lot in terms of uplifting the lives of people. And we see a lot of similarity between the journey of Indonesia and where we are trying to go as a country. So first of all, receive the consideration and well wishes of President William Ruto and the people of Kenya to the people of Indonesia. And we want to thank you very much for your welcome and your hospitality as we look to strengthen the relationship between our two countries. Yesterday, we managed to have a lot of meetings and to consider areas where we can be able to learn from each other. As a country, Kenya, we discovered many areas that we can learn from Indonesia. And also, we identified several areas where we think Indonesia can learn from Kenya. But let me first of all mention that we see this as a very long-term relationship. We want to create a long-term relationship because what brings us together and joins us is determination to have some courage. Some of the things that you are doing, for example, the ban of the export of raw material requires some courage and some determination. And you have mentioned that the president of Indonesia is leading the way and stamping his foot on the ground in terms of performance. And I want to confirm to you that is the same kind of leadership we have from President Ruto. Within a very short period of 8 months, since our new government came to place, we have managed to change a lot of things, even amidst a very difficult situation in the world. As you know, Honorable Minister, the world is going through a lot of challenges right now. You mentioned, and we are very excited to note, that you managed to keep inflation very low, despite the fact that elsewhere in the world, inflation is at all-time high. And some countries, especially in Africa, we are paying a very huge price for the inflation that is not manufactured in Africa, inflation that is manufactured elsewhere. But because of that, our currencies are suffering and our macroeconomic indicators are taking a hit because of inflation happening elsewhere. So it will be interesting also to learn from you. How did you keep inflation low, even when inflation is very high in the dominant economies of the world? There must be some secret, and I promise you, I will not go back to Kenya until you give me the secret. Because this is very, very remarkable, really, how you manage to keep inflation very, very, very managed, and how you manage to keep your exchange, your currency in a good situation. We also note the very good indicators on some of the topics which are of interest to us in Kenya, on the manufacturing, general manufacturing, in the textile and apparel, which is another area of interest for us. But also on the exports, we realize that your exports have been growing, and you quickly managed to overcome the contraction that happened during the pandemic. So that's another area where we hope to learn from you. How did you turn the curve very quickly, and how can we be able to work together on this? So really a lot of lessons that for us we can learn on the macroeconomic front, on the inflation, on the currency, on the manufacturing, on the exports. So very similar ambitions that we have. We notice also that, like Kenya, you have a very elaborate strategy on fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. The special economic zones is a mirror of also the special economic zones that we have in Kenya. We also have our export processing zone, and indeed the chief executive and the chair of our export processing zones, they are part of my delegation here, because we believe that we have to continue giving incentive to investors, to manufacturers, to exporters, to make Kenya a destination of choice. And so therefore, we would want to take this remaining time of our visit to benchmark on the fiscal and non-fiscal incentive that Indonesia is offering to investors, and compare that with what we are offering within our special economic zones, within our export processing zones. And now, from this year, we are now devolving these incentives to all the 47 regions of Kenya through our county aggregation and industrial park, where every region is going to have its mini special economic zone, so that we can have growth that is inclusive and growth that is distributed all over the country as we look to take off our economic journey. Now, on the B2B situation, we had a good time yesterday. We met a lot of meetings that were prepared for us by your team. We are very delighted, from the area of batteries, to mining, to blue economy, to edible oil, and also this morning with a team from the railways. And we hope to continue that with other meetings in the area of textile, in the area of pharmaceutical. So really, I see a very strong opportunity, a very rich opportunity for us to work together, not only on the macroeconomic level, but also on B2B. And I mentioned to your team yesterday what motivated us to come for this reciprocal visit very quickly after your visit in January, and ahead of the visit to Kenya by the President of Indonesia, hopefully in July, is your approach, which is also the mirror of the approach of President Ruto and the government of Kenya. Very practical approach, where as we quickly establish our relationship on a government to government, we let our business people move and create business-to-business relationship. But also, I want to commend you and your team for very close monitoring and follow-up. All these agreements that we enter, all these visits, can be meaningless if we do not have a strict process and framework for monitoring and evaluation, and for follow-up to ensure that all these wonderful ideas come to conclusion. We hope to conclude all these discussions with a way forward on a preferential trade agreement between our two countries. But really, that is important for paperwork. But the best agreement is moving very quickly to establish government-to-government relationship, to establish business-to-business relationship, and to establish people-to-people relationship between our two countries. So let me take this opportunity once again, Honorable Minister, to thank you and your wonderful team here for the warm welcome to our delegation, and we look forward to strengthening this relationship. I must add that it is unbelievable that we let a lot of time pass. We were noting that we only recently opened our embassy here in Jakarta, and we consider that a lot of time has been lost. But the good thing is that we are equal to the task, and we want to run the catch-up one thing you cannot doubt is the ability of Kenyans to run. I'm sure you know that. So because we are good runners in the world, we are going to run very quickly to catch up with the roast time and create a very strong relationship. We don't even have time for marathon. Now it's a sprint. We have to sprint to the finish line. I thank you. Thank you. From our last meeting, we tried to actually kickstart business relationship, but the issue of a banking system not being aligned is very important, and we lost an opportunity, especially on the area of edible oil, to start working, not because we did not have the demand or because you did not have the supply, but because our financial institutions were not aligned. So something we want to do, and also on the Export-Import Bank of Indonesia, we are trying to create a partnership between your Exim Bank as a development finance institution and our development finance institution to make it possible, especially on the area of e-mobility, because we have to create instruments that are compatible with the current situation of the Kenya. So we feel that the meeting with the Bankers Association and with the Exim Bank of Indonesia is very important to create a practical solution for this, because once our businesses are ready and our financial institutions are aligned, and we have got a proper mechanism for follow-up, we hope that tomorrow we can be able to, the two teams can sign a memorandum of all the points that we will agree to take forward, so that we can have a fixed, concrete program which we are going to follow up instead of just general discussion. So we hope that by the time we finish our meetings tomorrow, we can have a concrete document which you can deposit with yourself and myself, so that we can, from the highest level, follow up to ensure that each and every of those points, from G to G, from B to B, from financial alignment, are followed and implemented to the letter. Thank you. I want to see a situation whereby the visit of the President of Indonesia in July is coming to recognize progress already made, not to start new, So Ambassador Galma and the team, we need to ensure that all the topics, we have 2 months to make, so that the only thing that could be maybe new is maybe the beginning of the preferential trade agreement. But all these others, I think we have the capacity and the capability to ensure that we move forward, and when we meet, we are discussing not how to start, but how to make better.
Again, I think the task force between our two countries, we should set up, so then the list down, they are already, nearly done agreement, and then also we can have a timeline, and also banking system, because I talked already to the Minister of Finance. We tried to chip into our Exim Bank here some amount of money. I proposed $1 billion, and also I talked to the American side and also to ADB to chip in also to for this project, and also with the USA, the GFT. This is also part of it. I told them also to put. I said to Scott, I said to Scott, we put $1 billion. Of course, you have to put more than $1 billion.
We agreed to put more than 1 billion shillings.
So that's the way. And then if you have this one, I think we can capitalize.
I think, let me, Your Excellency, mention, highlight the importance of providing business capital on a south to south. For me, I'm very passionate about this issue.
Well, I think we can use also funding from Africa Union Bank.
Yes.
I think they have like, I don't know, $8 billion or so. $10 billion. So we can use some from that to capitalize this South-South collaboration. I think we can mobilize. Once this is moving, we can mobilize from many other sources, like blended finance, global blended finance. We can do it also to this project. Yeah. Yes. But I'd like to see
all the institutions that you mentioned, we are already working with them on that initiative, whether it's from World Bank, DFC, US Exim, US Trade and Development, you know.
Yeah.
So we need to collaborate so that we continue speaking to them about, because it is for the North institution, for the Western institution, the businesses grew because there was available capital and available finance. But in South, it is, we expect people to come up with good ideas like the one we have, to have good management like the one we have, and to also have money, which is not possible. I give an example is that in the North, we are very fair, but in the South, we expect someone to be handsome, rich, and they sing well. It is not possible all the time.
So I think World Bank and the new president of World Bank is a good friend of mine. I talked to him already in Washington 2 weeks ago. We had a breakfast. I mentioned also about South-South collaboration, and he loved very much with this idea. I think Edward also quite close to Ajay. We can raise this issue with Ajay. I'd like to invite him, I think, to our meeting, so then he can, you know, support us on this issue. Yeah. When I was in Kenya, I noticed that Kenya has a lot of potential that we can work together. We can move very quick, you know, together. But at the end, Excellency, the bottom line, my experience right now, the leadership of our president influenced a lot toward this one. So the president gave a very good example to the people of Indonesia, to his cabinet. So nobody dare to play, you know, around, you know. So everybody focused their own job in order to achieve the target of Indonesia. Not many people are also aware in this country that we transformed this country, you know, a lot, like e-catalog, you know, digitalization. That's something reduce also corruption, reduce also other unnecessary things. So that's a thing we can maybe share with you, our experience, or you know, dealing with the US, dealing with China, dealing with the other developed country like Europe. We should, I think, provide more close cooperation between Africa and Indonesia. This is, I think, South-South collaboration could bring a lot of benefit for all of us. Thank you, Excellency. The core inflation, 2.83, the core inflation. But the rest is just because of the onion price, the chili price, transportation cost. Then we fix it. How do we fix it? We have a meeting every, no, if the situation not so good, every week, Zoom. All the chief district have to be there, and we check why the, for instance, the chili price in your district up. Do you have a sources enough or not? Do you have a problem with the transportation costs? Because they have a local state budget, they can use to subsidize this. So by doing this every month now, we have a regular meeting in the Ministry of Interior. So all the district chief have to be there. Zoom. And we have the data. We have a big data now. So we can pinpoint that this district and this district has a problem with onion, has a problem with the chili, has a problem with this, and some others. You know. So then we can note. We have a list down this one. And what should the local government do in order to tackle this issue? Or what the central government has to do in order to support them. So by doing this, we are able to manage. That's why we are confident that we can bring gradually, you know, this from 5.3, now 4.33, yeah? And we can go down below 4%, around 3-something% by next quarter. So then we understand food influence a lot. Yeah, the core inflation is very hard to, you know, to manage, you know, but 2.83. But then we still work it out on this. But this one, we can manage this one well. So then, if you are successful from the chief district X, for instance, to reduce this one, we can announce, what this is successful of the chief district to do this one. So we can monitor this. That's, I think, one of the way we do it. So we have to go detail on that issue.
I think there's very distinct interest for us to work a lot with Kenya about the possibilities. So I think the potentials are there, the suppliers are ready. So I think it's just a matter of more on the what structure and what commercials that we want to do. So Excellency Moses always emphasize also that the very important to have some sort of financial support in order for Kenyans to do. I think today we are going to meet with the Himbara, the associations of bankers, as well as the Export Credit Agency of Indonesia. So hopefully we can develop some kind of plans, but we always try to recommend to make a focus into 2 or 3 different fields or sectors that can be successful quickly and very clearly needed by the by Kenya industries as well as market as well as our availability. So I think we have a few more meetings today, and there are very good companies that are coming and discuss with us yesterday and today. I think hopefully Excellency and Excellency Hassan also very happy with the quality of the people and the quality of conversation that you have. Thank you very much.
So hopefully with the upcoming visit of President Jokowi to Kenya, we have some things already agreed, financial close, I think will be on some of the business deals. That will be great, very great. Yeah. So hopefully in the end of this visit, we can agree on the certain projects or trade deals that we can follow up, we can immediately and do a financial closing. Yeah. I think yesterday you had a visit with one of the palm oil company, and I got report that it's quite we are quite optimistic that we can supply some of your needs of crude palm oil, the CPO, the cooking oil. Yeah, so we look forward to follow on this, and also maybe on the trade agreement. Yeah, so if we can, by the time of the visit of President Jokowi, we can announce the start of the negotiation on free trade agreement or preferential trade agreement. That will be very a good boost for the South-South collaboration that we are trying to develop with Africa. Yeah, because Kenya has access to the East African community market, and I think we can make use of Kenya as the hub for our products to Africa.